All right, welcome everybody. My name is Corey Peppers. I'm going to be starting us out for this event, and this is our senior information night. We really speak for everybody when I know we wanted to be in front of everybody this year, had that thought that we were going to be able to meet in person, and then some of the guidance coming from our district told us otherwise. So we're here for another virtual event. For Senior Information Night. We'll have Underclassmen Info Night coming up in a couple of weeks, so that link will go out. But tonight, just want to share some of the information that we have. Who to know in our office. Counselors, we do for every grade level, 9th through 12th, and it's broken up by alphabet. For me, I have last names, students A through E. Miss Bruce has last name students F through K. Miss Watson, last name students L through Q. Miss Nelson has last name students R through Z. This year we have Sam Dean. She's here from Mercer University. She'll be our school counseling intern. She was here with us last year during the spring for her practicum, so we're excited about her being here for another year. Miss Long in the Career Resource Center. That's another good person to know. Of course, our principal, Derek Maxwell, and we have assistant principals. Jared Noblet is our athletic director. Craig Martin, another assistant principal, Jessica Rayberg, and Barbara Smith. New to our office this year would be our records clerk, Holly Sheets. So she's in our office and will help out with some of that initial screening of students and parents that come through, as well as some of the records requests and things like that kind of come through our office. And then also our registrar, Miss Lori McElroy, is in our front of the counseling office. Counseling seniors, what we want to highlight, of course, as always, what we stay true to here in the counseling office is those are those personal and social needs of students. Of course, we are pulled into some different things with testing. Of course, we're going to highlight even in this presentation, but all the time with students, their graduation requirements. We will host conferences, we'll do scheduling, and then we'll highlight some different things about credit recovery and update students on where they need to be for that. Hospital homebound 504s as they are needed and as they come up for students, we'll help coordinate those events and as well help manage out those conferences and things. Scholarship recommendation letters, admissions info, that's something that will help out, with next steps and things. That's one of the big tasks of seniors is figuring out where we're headed after high school and graduation. And then that career exploration, definitely kind of talking with students about that, getting people plugged in with Miss Long, and also Miss Jackson through work-based learning. Community resources if needed, and that could be mental health, or that could just be, things like needing a place to get their driver's ed information and things like that. Dual enrollment, very heavy hitter for seniors at times. So if they're accessing that program this year, or if they're looking into that next semester, college and career planning, and then also just guidance on different outlets like Georgia Futures or Big Future and things like that. Senior counselor hasn't changed in a while. This is an online scheduler link and things that you can see there. A little screenshot, as you can see, of our counseling website. When you click that red make an appointment or /records request button, it'll take you to where you can actually make an appointment with your counselor, or you can submit a records request if that's what you're looking for. So Google Meets if we need to, phone calls again if we need to, but right now, as we're in person and things are going on, this is the best way to get right in front of your counselor. When you make that appointment, it's just like a doctor's or a dentist appointment. We want you to just show up. You can show a teacher with your smartphone your appointment time, or again, just let them know that you have an appointment. We can give you a pass to come back to class. For parents, the number one way to kind of contact us would be through phone or email, and definitely the preference towards email, so we can get your request in writing and get right back to you as soon as possible. Records requests. So again, I mentioned new this year, Ms. Sheets in our office is our records clerk. She's our starting point for contact in those, but requests can be made online through that appointment scheduler for transcripts, enrollment letters, Social Security paperwork. Sometimes that needs to be dropped off in our office prior to auto insurance. If you need one of those requests for a good student discount, and then if you are going to go through the withdrawal process, that can be started in the front of our office with Ms. Sheets. Upcoming events. We'll highlight a few of those things within these next couple of slides. We had a Peach State Tour event on our campus. It was virtual. We had some students attend in the Media Center. However, if you want to do this, there's an event actually for tonight that's going on in North Georgia. So hopefully you're able to attend there, or you can do some of the virtual events. That will be September 9th will be the next one after tonight's event on the 26th. And just kind of looking ahead at anything for students that are interested in the College of Augusta, Georgia State, Georgia Tech, or UGA. One thing we wanted to highlight as well for students would be that if you're in an AP class and you're thinking about or will take the AP exam, registration for the deadline for registration for fall students or year-long classes, so those combo classes, will be November 8th. And making sure that you take advantage to register for those. Late fees will be applied this year. So just to let you know a little bit of that information. So going along with the upcoming events, we have our grade level advisements going on right now. So we're meeting in advisement time, speaking with students basically about this information. So covering a lot of the great material that you're hearing tonight in these individual grade level advisement meetings. Senior Info Night, of course, is what we're talking about right now. Underclassmen Info Night will put out on the 13th of September. Senior meetings start on August 30th and go through September 30th. And then we've got the Probe Fair coming on our campus. Hopefully we'll be able to do an in-person event for that. And that'll be on the 22nd of September. PSAT administration really revolves around the underclassmen, and that'll be on the 13th of October. Financial Aid Night, again, we look to have that here on our campus with Mr. Wilkinson on the 19th of October. A conversation worth having with your teen. We'll talk a little bit more later in the slides, but that's something that our district will highlight in these coming weeks through social media and things, but that'll be on October 21st, and that'll be a Zoom meeting. Great topics talking about suicide prevention awareness. So definitely want to turn our attentions to that. Apply to College Week, a huge one coming up in November. And then FAFSA completion night will actually be November 18th. And we look to have that again in our media center. That was greatly attended last year. So we look to continue that streak this year. Senior meetings, just to kind of go in depth a little bit, August 30th through 31st, or through the September 30th. Similar to junior meetings, if your students had those or if you were able to accompany them with them last spring. We're going to cover graduation requirements, post-secondary, career information, and more. This is a tailored meeting. So if your student is interested in four-year college, we'll focus on that. If they're interested in technical or military, we'll focus on those points. We do highlight information just to kind of give students the awareness of all the things that they could be involved in through their graduation, and definitely here in the state of Georgia. Parents are invited to attend, but it's not required. We'll definitely get some notes going home to those students so they can share at home if a parent can't be a part of it. So just definitely tell your students, get logged on to their senior meetings. If y'all want to do that together to make sure that you can come as a parent, we're looking at that to be August 30th through September 30th. Apply to College Week, I mentioned it a second ago, but week-long activities on the days of November 15th through the 19th. This is where we're just encouraging, we're fostering this understanding and appreciation for what higher education can be after high school. It's very senior heavy as far as trying to get them to understand what connections they have after high school. And that could be to colleges through a college admission panel. We'll actually get former Windermere High School graduates that are either in college or have just graduated college to come back and speak. And then we'll have Apply to College days and financial aid days to help them through the process. throughout the week, we'll also be doing things during advisement to give the underclassmen that same appreciation and understanding factor for what higher education has for them. So just look out for that coming up in November.
Hello, everyone. My name is Granada Watson, and I'm the counselor for last names L through Q. And I'm here to continue to talk about this presentation. So right now I'm here to talk about graduation requirements. So as you know, there are a minimum of 24 credits that a student needs in order to graduate from Barrow High School. So of course, there's 4 language arts classes, 4 math, 4 science, 4 social studies. So that means one of those classes each year. And then there's a requirement for a pathway. And so that is 3 classes that are in conjunction from one another, like an elective. So for example, Intro to Healthcare, Essentials of Healthcare, Allied Health Medicine. So there might be 15 to 20 pathways at Barrow. So there are a lot of different options for students. So they just need one by the time they graduate from Barrow. There's also a requirement for health and PE, a Georgia State requirement, or you can do JROTC, 3 semesters of that in order to also meet that requirement for the state of Georgia. Students also need to pass 4 general electives and outside of the pathway. So pretty much you need 7 electives total. 3 of them are a pathway, 4 other electives. And then optional. So in the state of Georgia, if a student is interested in going to a 4-year school right after high school, so University of North Georgia, UGA, Georgia Gwinnett, Mercer, schools of that nature, you need to have taken 2 foreign language classes and received 2 foreign language credits in order to apply to these schools. So for example, French 1, French 2, Spanish 1, Spanish 2. If a student is interested in going to a technical school, they do not need those foreign language requirements. And if they are simply trying to graduate high school, they don't need that as well. It's only if a student wants to go to a 4-year school in the state of Georgia. I will say most 4-year schools in general throughout the country will require this foreign language. And so here, in case a student were to fail a class or 2, they have the option of either retaking a class at Barrow, or they can take credit recovery at Foothills Charter High School. So I'm also a counselor at Foothills, the Barrow site. And so students that come from Barrow to Foothills for transfer credits, they have to pay $150 for a credit or $70 for half a credit to complete a class. So if a student has taken 9th literature, for example, 2 or 3 times, and they might need to retake it, it might be in their best interest to do it at Foothills. So the great thing about Foothills is that you can work on it at your own pace. You just got to get it done by the time it's graduation time. But they can work on a class at their own pace. I would say half of Barrow High School's staff also works at Foothills. So there's a lot of familiar faces around, but they do need to go to the campus to finish tests for credit recovery at Foothills. But they can still get help. It's computer-based, but there are teachers to help out. But if credit recovery is an option for students, you can make an appointment with a counselor at Barrow to begin figuring out the process of, we have to write a recommendation letter, and then you call Foothills after you enroll online and make an appointment. But definitely it's important to get it done before the deadline for graduation. We're trying to figure out our best plan. So a lot of students that I currently have right now that need Foothills classes in order to graduate on time. We've had this discussion, but if a student were to fail a class in the fall of this year and they still need that class in the spring and it won't fit into their schedule, Foothills would be an option if that student needs the class in order to graduate. And we are looking at some after school and summer school opportunities for credit recovery through Barrow High School, which will be at no cost. As seniors, we definitely want y'all to graduate on time. And so as we figure out those plans with Mr. Maxwell and our administration, we will let all of y'all know how that is going. So graduation testing requirements, fingers crossed, all of these classes are usually taken before senior year. So hopefully our students are not having to take the American literature, algebra, biology, or U.S. history class. Of course, some students might be on different paths in terms of they might have moved in or they might have failed the class and had to retake these classes. So if your student is in American literature, algebra, biology, and U.S. history, they do have to take the milestones for it. Also, as you can see, if a student is taking dual enrollment to English 2130, starting this year, they still have to take the milestone for it as well. So if you are a student that has taken English 2130 this semester, or is taking it this semester or next semester, they'll have to do the milestone for that. So what's next? A super important topic to have about seniors, especially since, the culmination of high school is coming up. So a lot of things that we talk about in senior meetings and junior meetings in the past is to discuss what the next step is. So four-year colleges, usually students that go to a four-year college get a bachelor's degree. There are two-year colleges / junior college, which is an associate's degree. So an example for a two-year college might be Georgia Perimeter College through Georgia State or UNG Gainesville. Those are some two-year colleges. Technical colleges, so for example, we have Lanier Technical College, we have Athens Tech, Gwinnett Tech close by. You can get different types of degrees there in the sense of associate's degree, their diploma programs, their certificate programs, so definitely different options at technical school. And then of course the military, there's different branches, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marines, Navy. I know students also join the reserves for Army and Marines. And of course there's workforce, so students sometimes choose to go get a full-time job, get an apprenticeship, specialized training. For our students that have attended class, especially 10th grade literature at Winder-Barrow, there's something called U-Science. And so students have taken U-Science to match skills that they might have and interests they might have to careers that would be of interest to them that they might be good at. So U-Science is actually an amazing website. You can actually access it through Parent Portal or Student Portal through SLDS. You can always ask your counselor how to access it. I was actually helping a student today look at it, and we were able to see that they hadn't finished it yet, but once they were able to, get all the different quizzes done in U-Science, you can see all the jobs that might be great for them to pursue. It also has how much education you might need to do, how much money you might make, the job growth, things of that nature. So U-Science is a great resource for seniors, juniors, and even below. So what should seniors be doing now? Right now it's August 2021. So what should students be doing? Definitely building a college list is super important. If students want to pursue going to college after high school, having that list. So we say 5 to 8 schools typically. Some people might have a little more, some people might have a little less, but 5 to 8 schools is good. And so what you see here of safety, match, and reach. So a safety school might be a school that you're going to get into. The average applicant might have a certain GPA or certain test scores that are lower than what you have. So you're like, oh, I know I'm going to get in. It's going to be a safety school. It's going to be a good backup. A match school means that you match the average applicants that gets accepted, their info. So if you have a 3.3 GPA and a 1200 on the SAT, and then Georgia State has 3.4 GPA and they might have an 1100 on the SAT average accepted applicant, that would be a match school. And so a reach school, if a student has a 3.4 GPA and a 1200 SAT, a reach school might be the University of Georgia, since they typically have a 4.0 GPA and maybe a 1300 SAT score. So that might be more of a reach. So you're hoping for the best. Hopefully you'll get in, but you might be on the lower end of the accepted applicant for that school. Also super important, creating a master list and calendar, knowing the deadlines and dates of different applications for colleges it's really nice to have it set up so you know what you need to do, what recommendations you might need to ask for a teacher, or what scholarships you might want to apply for, things of that nature. Also with application deadlines, there's early action versus early admission or early decision rather than regular. So some schools like the University of Georgia, for example, have early action. So you can apply to UGA by October 15th, and you might just get to know if you got in early or if you're getting deferred or getting denied, but you will find out earlier. While regular decision, you find out, as with everybody else, usually it's due in January for UGA, for example, and you might find out in March. Early decision is binding. So, for example, a student that wants to apply to Emory University and decides to apply early decision at a school, they will, when they get accepted at Emory University, for example, early decision, they have to commit to that school It's a binding contract unless financial aid doesn't work out. So that's early decision versus early action versus regular. Visiting campuses is a great way to see if it's a good fit or not. So some schools are doing virtual tours still, some schools are doing in person, some schools are doing both. Definitely, as you make your list for these schools, to know which schools you might want to visit, whether virtually or in person. Planning testing dates, so important. So I'm not sure this has been addressed just yet or will be addressed, but there are, for right now, the University System of Georgia, so public four-year schools in the state of Georgia, are requiring the SAT, ACT in order to apply to schools. So if you have not taken the SAT or ACT yet, I highly suggest making that appointment. I mean, it depends on when your school's application is due, but definitely doing it sooner rather than later, getting the SAT, ACT taken care of. And then, of course, if students, they're able to get fee waivers. They might have free and reduced lunch in the past, things like that. You can get a fee waiver. Talk to Ms. Long in the Career Resource Center. She hands out waivers for students that qualify. And of course, as we talk about senior stuff, make an appointment with your counselor throughout the school year, whether it is during the senior meetings in September, you have more questions in October, November, throughout this entire year. I know it can be a lot, and so we are here to support you to figure out what your next plans are for sure. And of course, if you need a recommendation for a school, so if a school is asking for a recommendation letter, you can request for a recommendation letter from your counselor. It's called a brag sheet. So pretty much a student fills out all the amazing accomplishments, all the great things they've done in high school. They'll put it in a brag sheet. So that will be sent out to our seniors if they need a recommendation letter. And so again, what do colleges consider? So I was talking before about SAT, ACT scores. So in the past, is normally a super important factor when it comes to college applications, though some schools have suggested removing scores. So I think, for example, I want to say it's Barrow College. They're no longer asking for SAT, ACT scores, even, with the pandemic, as we're currently figuring out, we are in a pandemic. We're not, but we are, all of the stuff going on with that. So they decided, we're not going to require it anymore. But as I was saying earlier, the University System of Georgia will definitely still be requiring it for application purposes. Another thing is GPA and grades. So with GPA, it's important to try your best in your classes, and colleges will see, what GPA you have in school. So ultimately, the final transcript that colleges will get will be all 4 years, including after, spring of your senior year. However, when students apply, for example, in the fall of their senior year, they're only going to see the first 3 years of your GPA. But then the final transcript will be your entire GPA of high school. So definitely GPA and grades are a big factor. Rigor in classes. So if a student has taken only on-level classes throughout all of high school, some of those more top-tier colleges will want to see more rigorous classes like honors and AP classes or dual enrollment classes. Some other factors for colleges might be an essay and personal statement. I was mentioning earlier recommendations, activities, accomplishments, student demonstrated interest. So some schools, if you go on a lot of tours, talk with a admissions counselor, things like that, they'll see, oh, you really want to go to the school. So we will consider that when we look at your application. Also, class rank, where you stand in your classes also can be a factor as well for students. And then interview as well. Some schools require an interview, or they highly recommend an interview. So interviews can also be a factor too. And of course, building a college list. So when students make a list of what colleges they might want to go to, it's important to think about, the location, the size of student population. If you don't want to be in the middle of downtown, maybe don't go to Georgia State because it's a big school in downtown Atlanta. If you think you really want to be in a thriving downtown area, go to Georgia State, for example. Cost. Private schools and public schools do have different costs. Sometimes private schools might grant a lot of scholarship, but it might still be expensive. Similarly, maybe if you're going to a public school and you don't get Hope Scholarship, that can still be expensive too. So definitely weighing your options in terms of costs, whether it's tuition, financial aid, scholarships, programs and majors offered. If you're interested in studying the arts and your school doesn't have any fine arts, probably shouldn't go there. As also, on campus activities, some students want to be at a school with a thriving Greek life. Some students don't want that at all. And so understanding what schools offer, because it's not just, you want to make sure college accepts you, but you want to be in a place that would be a great fit for you too. So definitely important to think about. And of course, deciding to apply. So safety schools, as I was talking about, maybe having 1 to 2 of those schools where you'll pretty much guarantee yourself you'll be admitted. Match school, match those of recent entering classes, about 3 to 4 of those schools. And a reach school, so students might meet the criteria for admission in general, but your criteria might be a little bit lower, or maybe more lower than recent accepted classes. There's some great resources on the Winder-Barrow High School Counseling website. We have the WBHS Post-Secondary Handbook under the Seniors tab. It's amazing. I show all my students how, pretty much this presentation, you will see also in that format too. So definitely check that out. Big Future, collegeboard.org, a great website to find all this information in one place for every college in the entire country, U.S., and I think they also do outside of the United States too. So they'll list whether it's what deadlines they have, what majors they have, what campus life is like, how to apply, how to pay for, what GPA you might need, or average GPA, average scores. It's a great website. You can actually make an account, save all the different schools you want to apply to. It's amazing. And then you'll also see, for example, if you have UGA, they'll have schools underneath that might be related to that. So they might show Georgia Southern or Georgia Tech or whatever. So they'll also show you some similar schools of that nature, whether it is location. You can put it in location too, by the way. If you only want to look at states in Georgia, you can mark that. If you only want to look at out-of-state schools, you can also do that too. And of course, how to apply to college. So most in-state schools will use georgiafutures.org. So if you go under college planning, applications, and transcripts, you can apply on georgiafutures.org. Of course, there's also some colleges or universities that have it on their own specific website. Common application. So if you know what that is, the common application is like a website that you can apply to a lot of different schools under one application. And so there's some Georgia schools on there, and there's plenty of out-of-state schools too. So definitely check on Common App what schools are on there. I know UGA is on there. I know Georgia State's on there. Augusta University. There's a lot of different schools on there. Application fee waivers. So if you qualify for free and reduced lunch this year, you can get a possible application fee waiver. Sometimes colleges even get their application fees waived as well. So especially during Apply to College Week in November, there's a lot of different schools that will let students apply for free. So make sure you're on our Winder-Barrow social media to see when those applications are free. College entrance exams. So definitely planning ahead, research the best college information, study, please study. Don't just wing it, please. At least study for a bit. I would highly suggest not just for a bit, but a lot. Study a lot. And that's the thing is there's so many free options on the internet for ACT or SAT that you can get free tests, free study guides, things like that. But for four-year colleges, they'll usually want ACT or SAT. Normally, we recommend taking both early. So if you're good at one over the other, some students are really good at the SAT and don't do as great on the ACT, or vice versa. So if possible, trying to take both. There's no preference by colleges usually. You can send either. And also when you take the test, you can select schools that you want it to be sent to. For technical schools, you can do the SAT or ACT. There's also the AccuPlacer, which is a not as challenging version of the ACT or SAT. And they usually use AccuPlacer to place you what classes you might need and not necessarily as a barrier to get into the school. And of course, if you're interested in the military, you can take the ASVAB as well.
Hi, my name is Angela Bruce, and I'm one of the counselors at Winder-Barrow High School. I have worked with students with last names F through K. So one of the college entrance exams that students can take is called the ACT, and these are the test dates when the ACT will be offered this year. In the past, Appalachia was a test site for the ACT, but I understand that they will not be a test site this year. So when students log into the actstudent.org website, they will be able to select the testing location that works best for them. SAT is the other college admissions test that is commonly used. Winder Barrow High School is an SAT testing location. So you can see that the next test date that students can still sign up for without paying late fees is the October test date. Just FYI, if a student is interested in being considered for STAR student, they must be in the top 10% of the senior class and typically must have taken the November SAT. So keep that in mind. But these shows test dates through the summer. For Zell-Miller purposes, testing must take place during the school year. So the last test date that will be considered for Zell-Miller scholarship is May 7th. Khan Academy is a great website where students can go to get free online tutoring. Khan Academy is the official SAT test prep provider for the College Board. And so you can go on to Khan Academy, take a practice SAT, and it'll give you an individualized study plan. So it's a great way for students to get ready for testing. For students who are interested in joining the military, the ASVAB is the entrance test that they would take. The ASVAB stands for the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. It also provides one of the best career exploration programs that's out there. So again, it's required for military entry. There is something called an AFTQ. I forget, that may not be it. There's a score on there that is required for military placement purposes. Every branch of the military has a specific AFQT. That's what it's called, score that's required for entry. And so it is important that students take this. We offer it here in the spring in March, and students will sign up through Ms. Long. Students are also welcome to schedule a separate test date with a recruiter. The AccuPlacer is used for admissions purposes to the technical college system. The technical college system also will accept SAT or ACT, but the AccuPlacer is a multiple choice untimed computerized test that covers math and reading and writing skills. It is an easier test than the SAT or the ACT, and they schedule it directly with the technical college. In terms of financial aid planning, there are some websites that we like to direct students to. GeorgiaFutures.org is a website that offers financial aid information. The HOPE program is administered through the Georgia Student Finance Commission, and Georgia Futures is a website of the Georgia Student Finance Commission. It has calculators to help with the cost of college attendance. You can search for scholarships and actually complete applications there. Georgia Futures is the only place to go to actually check your real current HOPE GPA. So this is really important. Big Future is another website that we use and direct students to regularly. There's a lot of information for students and parents on there. There are webinars for parents, scholarships, cost estimators, loan information. You can look at college information. You can actually look at your SAT scores and see which schools might be match or reach or backup schools. In terms of financial aid, we will be offering a financial aid night on October 19th. This will be a virtual event with the Georgia Student Finance Commission. And so we will send out information with a link. So be on the lookout for that, because that will have important information about how to apply for financial aid, what the FAFSA is, and all that. And then we want to encourage all seniors who are applying for post-secondary education, for college or technical college, to complete the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. It is located at fafsa.ed.gov. Pay particular attention to the word free. So make sure that when you are completing this application that you're not going to a website with a similar name. There are some out there that will charge you for things, but the actual website is fafsa.ed.gov. And you are required, both students and parents are required to set up something called an FSA ID in order to sign this electronically. And there's a link where you can do that. And we will be hosting a FAFSA completion night on November 18th this year. Scholarships. We have a scholarship website. Well, we have on our counseling website, we have a scholarship page. So the way you get there is you go to the counseling website, click on the college and career link, and then click on financial aid and scholarships. We will have all of the scholarships that we receive locally listed on here, anything else that we've received. You can also email Miss Long and ask to be added to her scholarship newsletter that she sends out. She sends this out every week or two, so you can get this directly in your email. And then there are lots of scholarship pages that you can visit on the internet for free scholarship searches. We mentioned Big Future, we mentioned Georgia Futures, FastWeb is another one, My Scholly, Raise Me, Going Mary, Unigo. There are lots of scholarships. The only thing that I would make sure that you are aware of is don't do anything that requires you to pay, because all of this information should be available for free online. The Hope and Zell Miller scholarships are two important programs that our students benefit from. The Hope Scholarship is a program that you can use at technical colleges, 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges. Now, the Hope Scholarship does require that you have a minimum 3.0 Hope GPA, and that is based on your core classes. So that includes your language arts, social studies, math, science, and foreign language courses. Middle school grades are not included in your Hope Scholarship calculation. In addition, you also have to meet something called the Hope rigor requirements, and that's where students have taken 4 classes that the state has identified as rigorous. And most students are able to do that without any problem, but we do want to make sure that everyone checks and make sure that the courses that they've taken do meet rigor requirements. The Hope Scholarship pays about 85 to 90% of the cost of tuition at a public institution in Georgia, but it does not pay for things like room, board, books, meal plans, that sort of thing. Now, the Zell Miller Scholarship is another scholarship program that students can utilize at, again, technical colleges, 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, and the Zell Miller requires a minimum 3.7 Hope GPA, and students must meet at least a 1200 SAT or a 26 on ACT in one test sitting. They also have the same rigor requirements as the regular Hope Scholarship, and it pays 100% tuition at a public institution. Again, the Zell Miller does not cover things like room, board, books, meal plans, etc. And there is a flat rate for both the Hope Scholarship and the Zell Miller Scholarship at private schools. So just to look at the academic rigor requirements for Hope and Zell Miller, again, students are required to complete 4 classes that are considered rigorous, and they can be in any of these categories. So an advanced math class, an advanced science class, a foreign language, an AP class, or a dual enrollment course. So as an example, if you on the right, if a student takes Algebra 2, they take Chemistry, Human Anatomy, and Spanish 2, that meets their rigor requirements. So essentially, any foreign language class at this second level or higher counts for rigor. 3rd and 4th level math classes, Algebra 2 and higher, count for rigor. Many of the 3rd level science classes will count for rigor. AP courses, dual enrollment courses. There are a lot of ways to meet the rigor requirements. So a lot of students aren't aware of this, but there's also something called the Hope and the Zell Miller Grant. Now, we talked about the scholarships. The scholarships are for degree level programs, so those 2- and 4-year degree programs. The Hope and Zell Miller grants, those are available mostly at the technical college system. There are some 2-year institutions that offer that in addition to the technical college system, but there is no high school minimum GPA required. Students do have to maintain a 2.0 during their program for the Hope Grant, and it covers a portion of tuition. It covers the same amount of tuition that the Hope Scholarship does. So again, in the 85 to 90% rate. The difference is that this is for technical and career programs. So students must be enrolled in a diploma or certificate of credit program to utilize the Hope Grant or the Zell Miller Grant. The Zell Miller grant is kind of like the Zell Miller scholarship. So instead of covering a portion, it covers 100% of the cost of tuition in a technical certificate of credit or diploma program. And it's retroactive. So you actually have to get a 3.5 in order to be eligible. And then it basically repays you for the first semester, and then you can earn it from there on. In addition, there is something called the Hope Career Grant. And so if students are enrolling in a program in the technical college system that is a high demand field, then they can get additional money through the Hope Career Grant that will cover the cost of tuition between the Hope Grant and the Hope Career Grant for those high demand career areas.
Hey y'all, my name is Miss Nelson, and I'll be closing out the rest of this video for us. Just like the rest of the counselors have said, this has been a lot of great information. In addition to that, we do have Georgia Futures as a resource for our students. Every student can create an account. It will need their student ID number to connect them to our school. So once you make that account, or once your student makes that account, they'll sign in, and this is how they can check on their Hope GPA, any state applications, so any colleges in the state of Georgia, some statewide scholarships, as well as some national scholarships, and much more. So it's a really great site. We use it here in the counseling office, and we really hope that you guys take advantage of it as well. Okay, so once you're logged in, you'll see this screen. It's going to say welcome, your name at the top. And then you can also go to the left side of the screen and check on your Hope GPA. You can also request your transcript through Georgia Futures, so that towards the end of the year, when it's time for us to send final transcripts, this is how we're going to send them. Speaking of sending transcripts, the request will be made through Miss Sheets. So you can make that request through our appointment scheduler, or you can email her. If you make it through the appointment scheduler, you'll actually make an appointment with Miss Sheets and explain what you need. So if your transcript needs to go to UNG, you'll specify it needs to be sent to UNG. It needs to be sent to a certain scholarship. You'll specify where it needs to be sent. You do not have to come in and meet with Miss Sheets. She'll actually get that prepared for you and send it off on your behalf. If you email her, please know that we do get a lot of emails every day, that she will get to your email as soon as possible. So in my opinion, it might be best to just go ahead and make that appointment through the appointment scheduler. Again, those in-state schools those requests should be made through the Georgia Futures account. It's free and it's immediate. As soon as we get that, it's sent off. If you're for the out-of-state schools, again, that request should be made through our appointment scheduler, and hard copies can also be made through that appointment schedule. So I know a lot of students need their transcripts for insurance purposes, some need them for job purposes, and so on and so forth. Recommendations. And honestly, you guys, this is probably one of my favorite parts about being a counselor, is writing recommendations on behalf of students. So if you're applying for a job or a program that needs a recommendation from teachers or counselors, please make sure you let us know, or let your teachers know, at least 2 weeks before the deadline. Recommendation letters, especially the good ones, take a really long time to write. We do want to make sure that we are advocating and speaking well on your behalf. So please make sure you give us plenty of time. For a lot of teachers, it's fine if you just ask them. Hopefully you have that good relationship with them where you can do that. For us counselors, we do prefer if you visit the counseling site and find the section of if you need a letter from your counselor. Please be sure that before you submit our information to any site that you let us know. A lot of times it's better for us to be alert so we can be on the lookout for it. But more importantly, if we don't know that it's coming, we may not get to it. And we would hate for that to be missing from your application. So we do have a form that you can fill out everything, every accomplishment you've ever had, whether it be you won the spelling bee for one of your clubs, or if you got a huge award at work, or maybe just something you're really proud of that you want us and your college or job site to know. Make sure you put that in the form. It's also really helpful if you get teachers to complete a teacher evaluation. So it helps us kind of know how you're seen out in the classroom and outside of our office, and also what we know about you. Also, what's very important is if a program or school does not ask for a letter of recommendation, it's better not to offer them one. Solely because a lot of times with these applications, they're asking you for specific things because it's easier for them to go through your application a bit faster and make a decision quicker. But also they want to see if you can follow some directions, right? So you are growing into adults at this point, and they want to make sure that if I tell you A, that you're willing to do A, and not go the extra mile in this case. Of course, we want to make sure your application is as strong as possible, but we don't want to put extra stuff if that's not needed. So some senior class info. So for your courts, please contact your club advisors for the accurate information. Us as counselors, we want to help you as much as we can. However, we may not know, which court goes to which club or what you need for those, what requirements you need for those courts. So make sure that you're talking with your advisors. Your senior photos need to be scheduled with Katie Studios. Just keep in mind, if your student does qualify for MVP services, that you need to see your counselor about those waivers. Senior dues and t-shirt orders. Our senior dues are going to be $100 up until May 1st of 2022. After May 1st of 2022, it'll go up to $120. That typically covers things like your senior breakfast and some other dues. Seniors Honors Night will be May 12th. It is an evening event. Hopefully we can have that in person. Senior Decision Day is May 18th. It's going to be held during school, and it's specifically for our seniors only. Our Decision Day was great last year. We have a ton of pictures from it, and we have students celebrating the fact that they got into certain colleges, certain branches of the military, or certain workplaces. So that's a really big day that we're all super excited about. Senior Week is going to be May 17th through May 21st. Again, Decision Day falls within that week. But there's also going to be some more events that our seniors can feel celebrated and feel praised and kind of just like held up on the pedestal that our seniors should be held up on. Senior Walk will be May 24th at 9 a.m. And graduation practice will follow after on May 25th at 9 a.m. And then last but not least, our graduation will be at 8 p.m. on May 25th. We do have a community event coming up on September 29th at 6:30. It will be a virtual event, yes, because we want to just keep everyone safe, but we also want to get this information out to as many people as possible. So this is an event put on by Barrow Suicide Prevention Task Force, and there will be two speakers, Dr. Latrina Slater from the SEC and Mr. Adam Rollerson from Laurelwood. Suicide awareness especially is something we want to get out to our community. It affects all of us in some capacity, and this is a way for us to have an open and honest conversation and kind of making sure that we are all best prepared when something like this does affect our community and how to prevent it. So we really do encourage you guys to join that Zoom meeting if you're able to that night. If not, it will be recorded for your convenience. Our first generation college bound group is actually headed by our school counseling intern, Miss Samantha Dean, and one of our very own counselors, Mr. Corey Peppers. So if you are a senior and you're the first person in your family to attend college, this is the perfect group for you. The college application process, the college going process in general can be very confusing and very overwhelming for all of us, but especially those who may not have that extra parental or guardian support to get them there. So if you just need a little bit more information about the process or just to feel like more confident or supported in your decision making, definitely look to join this group. Some sign up information is going to be coming in the next month or so. This small group will be held from October to November for those who are interested, and we're hoping to have another group going in the spring as well. Just a reminder, we do have senior meetings coming up. So seniors, Last year with our last group of seniors, the SAT and ACT weren't necessarily required for college admissions, but this year, for the most part, they are coming back. So if you have any questions about, whether I should take the SAT or the ACT, or whether I shouldn't take them at all, or whether my scores are good, or anything like that, or if you have any scholarship questions, really anything that you want to bring to us as counselors in this meeting, we really hope that you do, because we want this to benefit you the most. So please make sure that you are making that appointment. We do start next week, actually, on August 30th, and we'll run from August 30th to September 30th. So if you do happen to make a appointment before the 30th of August, we will just schedule you to the next month, but we will make sure that we see you as well. So stay connected. Right before COVID, we did start our Google Classroom, and we're hoping that that can still continue on during the school year. You can find the classroom codes right here. And through these Google Classrooms, we will get information out, like scholarship information, any announcements that we have for testing, and just any way that we can get information out to you fairly quickly. So please sign up. And we hope to get connected with you that way. And also just stay connected to the school. I personally still use Facebook, but I know a lot of people don't. So if you use Facebook, great. There's the connection code. If you use Twitter, Instagram, please just look to join at least one of these social media outlets, because we know that we're in the age of social media right now. And this is the way, again, to get that good information out to you quickly. Some final notes, final thoughts before we close up. Please remember to view the post-secondary handbook under the seniors tab on the school website for great senior planning information. Really, anything we go over in this presentation, in your senior meeting from last year, your junior meeting, anything we may have missed is going to be found in that handbook. So please, please, please take a look at it. Colleges can and do review your records after you've been admitted. So if you get admitted in October and we just kind of mosey off in the spring, colleges can look at that and kind of question what's going on. So don't give up. Don't pause. Don't catch senioritis. Don't say like, oh, I'm good. Please just continue to work hard. You've come this far, not to just get this far, right? So please make sure that you are working hard until the finish, and then you're carrying that over into the fall, no matter where you find yourself. Attendance is key, right? You know that. You've gotten here. You've been here 4 years. You know that you need to be here in order to learn the best. So make sure that you are actively participating in class. Make sure that you're making those connections with your teachers, with your counselors, with your principal, just so that we know that we're supporting someone who truly wants to be here. Make sure you're turning in your work. Again, if you're going to be here, turn in the work. Why not? Just make sure that you stay connected in that regard in your classrooms. Again, connect and communicate with your key players, your teachers, your parents, your guardians, Mr. Maxwell, us as counselors. Just make sure that you are building your network of support more than just within one classroom. Ask the questions. No question is a dumb question. Probably the dumbest question around is the one that's not asked. So make sure that you get that out. Make appointments. You can come see the counselors at any time, again, through that appointment scheduler. If you have something that's really pressing, email us. We want to be here to help you, and we want to help you. So please make sure to reach out to us. Make sure that you're checking your parent portal often, parents or guardians, students. Make sure you're checking your student portal. Make sure you're checking your emails. Basically, from now until May, you need to be so invested in what we're doing here at the school that you're almost tired of being invested. But again, being connected, checking in, making sure that you've got everything in your planner, on your calendar, in your brain. Just make sure that you're not falling short this year, because again, you've come this far and we want to see you cross that 50-yard line. So thank you for your time and your attention. If you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to us.